Explaining why Spider-Man and Black Cat aren't a couple is actually simpler than people make it, and it's also the exact reason why they absolutely can be. First, you have to understand that fictional characters aren't locked into one fixed personality or set of rules. Their characterization is flexible and changes depending on who's writing them. One writer might portray a character as calm, collected, and goal-oriented, while another might lean into a more impulsive, emotional, or reckless version of that same character. That's not a mistake, that's literally how comics work. Writers are given a run and the freedom to take the story in the direction they think works best. And that also means the importance of certain relationships can shift from one run to another. The only reason Peter and Mary Jane are such a staple is because the people at Marvel wanted it that way, so they wrote it that way. Mary Jane could have easily been substituted with other love interests like Gwen Stacy, Betty Brant, or someone else entirely if a different creative direction was chosen. So the idea that something has to stay one specific way forever already contradicts how fiction operates. These characters aren't real, which means there are no fixed parameters for their behavior, their relationships, or even their morals. A lot of the time, viewers project their own preferences onto these characters and treat them like rules that must always apply, when in reality, they're just interpretations. Spider-Man's love life is flexible, his worldview is flexible, and the people closest to him can change depending on the story being told, and that includes Felicia. If I were in any position of authority at Marvel, I could easily decide that Spider-Man and Black Cat are endgame simply because that's the direction I want to take. And as writers, we're not bound to canon because we're the ones who define it in the first place. Of course, audience response still matters, but even then, different dynamics can coexist. For example, Batman and Catwoman being married is a dynamic that works for that world. And even though Peter and Bruce and Felicia and Catwoman are different characters, their relationships can still be written in unique ways that feel fresh and interesting. So when people say Spider-Man and Black Cat can't work because of canon, or because of how they personally interpret Peter's morality, they're ignoring the fact that canon itself constantly evolves. Their dynamic can be written as unstable, or it can be written as something that genuinely works under the right circumstances. That's the whole point. They're not limited by one version, one writer, or one fixed idea of what they should be.